The sun was setting over the red desert and the sky turned orange and gold. Wind howled through broken metal towers and scattered bones of old machines. Jace walked slowly, boots crunching on dry sand, his eyes scanning for anything useful. He was a scrap scavenger, nothing more, nothing less. Just a man trying to survive. He carried a long pole with a sensor on one end. It beeped softly whenever it came near old tech. Most of the junk had already been picked clean years ago, but Jace kept searching. He needed parts to trade for food, and maybe fuel if he got lucky. As he moved around a large pile of twisted ship metal, the sensor gave a sudden loud beep. Jace stopped. His eyes narrowed. Something was buried under the sand. He dug quickly with his hands. After a few minutes, he hit something smooth. It was cold. Too cold for the desert. It was a pod. A small stasis pod, maybe 2 meters long. The surface was scratched and old, but the power light still blinked. Faint blue light shone from inside. Jace brushed away more dust from the glass, and then he saw her. A girl. An alien girl. She was curled up, her silver-white hair floating gently, in the cryo mist. Her skin was pale blue, almost glowing. She looked young, maybe in her early 20s if human. Her clothes were torn and thin, not enough to keep her warm even inside the pod. Her eyes suddenly twitched. Jace gasped and stepped back. Then her eyes opened. Big, bright, purple eyes. They looked directly at him. Her lips trembled, and in a weak, cracked voice she whispered, "Please, don't leave me." For a moment Jace stood frozen. He had seen strange things out here, but this was something else. Why was a living alien girl out here in the middle of a junk desert? He stepped closer, cautiously pressing the release button on the pod. It hissed and opened slowly, steam, rising like a ghost. The girl shivered as warm air hit her skin. She tried to sit up but fell forward. Jace caught her. She was cold, ice cold, and her body felt too light, like she hadn't eaten in days or weeks. "You're okay?" he said gently. "You're safe now." Her fingers clutched his shirt tightly as if afraid he'd disappear. Her voice was almost a breath. "Warm. I need warmth." Jace removed his long desert coat and wrapped it around her. "Here, take this." She looked confused, like she didn't understand why he helped. He stood and lifted her carefully. She didn't resist. In fact, she held onto him even tighter. "I'm taking you somewhere safe," he said. She didn't answer, but didn't let go either. Jace brought her to a small shelter. It was nothing fancy, just a reinforced metal hut with solar power and a soft floor mat. Inside, it was warm and quiet. He laid her down gently and gave her water. She sipped it slowly. "Do you have a name?" he asked. She looked at him for a long time, then shook her head. "They never gave me one." Jace blinked. "Who are they?" She didn't reply. Her face turned away, as if remembering something painful. A tear rolled down her cheek. Jace felt something strange stir in his chest. Pity? No, anger. Someone had locked this girl in a pod and left her to die in the sand. She looked at him again and whispered, "They said I was useless. Broken." Jace knelt beside her. "You're not broken." She gave a soft, bitter laugh. "You don't know what I am." "I don't care," he replied. "You're alive. That's enough." Silence filled the room. Then she slowly moved closer. Her head rested lightly on his shoulder. Her breath was warm now. Her body stopped shivering. "I'll be good to you," she whispered. "Just don't leave me." Jace didn't answer. He just sat there staring at the small fire in the corner. The stars outside began to shine. The wind howled outside Jace's metal hut. Inside, soft light flickered from a small power lamp. The alien girl sat quietly on a mat, knees pulled to her chest, still wearing Jace's coat. Her silver hair fell over her face like a curtain. She hadn't spoken for hours, not even a thank you. Jace brought her a bowl of warm soup. She looked at it, then at him. "It's safe," he said. "I made it myself." She reached out slowly, fingers trembling, and took the bowl. She sipped it carefully like someone who didn't know what food was supposed to taste like. After the second spoon, her eyes widened. Warm. It's warm, she whispered. That's the idea, Jace replied with a small smile. She looked at him again. This time longer. Her voice came out soft. Why? Why what? Why are you helping me? Jace shrugged. I found you in the dust, left behind like scrap. You're not scrap. She stared at him, as if his words confused her. The others said I was defective. Jace raised an eyebrow. Defective, like a broken machine? She nodded. My kind, we're bred for function. If you fail to match the standards, you're erased. Quietly, no fight, no name. That word again. You really don't have a name? No, she said simply. Not anymore. Jace sat down across from her. Then I'll give you one. She blinked. You can do that? Why not? He said. You need one. I can't keep calling you, hey, you. He thought for a moment, then said, How about Lyra? Her lips moved, repeating it softly. Lyra, you like it? She smiled, just a little. Yes, it sounds soft. Then it's yours. The next day, Lyra stood outside the hut wearing Jace's spare clothes. They were too big for her, but she didn't complain. She watched the sky, quiet, alert. When Jace joined her, she spoke without turning. There were others, in the facility where I was made. I saw them vanish, one by one. Jace frowned. Facility? Like a lab? A breeding lab, she said. Our people. Designed females. To bond, to serve, to breed. If a subject fails the physical check, they get erased. Jace felt his stomach twist. That's sick. They said I was too weak, too soft. My DNA was unstable, so they locked me in the pod, sent me to the waste zone. Jace clenched his fists. Like trash. Lyra looked down. But you gave me food, warmth, a name. She turned to him. Why? What do you want in return? He looked at her. Nothing. No male gives something for nothing, she said quietly. I'm not like the ones you've known. There was silence between them. Then she stepped closer. Her voice trembled as she said, If I warmed your bed at night, would you keep me? Jace looked stunned. What? Lyra kept her gaze on the ground. That's what they told us. If you please a male, they won't throw you away. If I share warmth, I get to live. He shook his head. Lyra, that's not how it works, not here, not with me. She looked up, confused. Then why haven't you touched me, or ordered me? Because you're a person, not a thing. Tears gathered in her eyes. That night, she didn't sleep on the mat. She laid near the fire, wrapped in Jace's blanket, still shaking a little, not from cold, but from everything else. But far away, in the city's control center, a red alert blinked. Unknown life signature reactivated in Zone 9, a technician said. His superior looked at the screen. Unit 73X, that one was terminated. Apparently not. She was found. The superior narrowed his eyes. Send a retrieval team. If she escaped, she's not worthless after all. A ship launched, fast, silent, with one mission: recover or eliminate. Back in the desert, Lyra stood outside once again, watching the stars. Jace sat nearby, fixing an old power cell. She spoke quietly. If they come, will you give me back to them? Jace didn't answer right away. Then he said, Not a chance. She looked at him, eyes wide. I don't care what they say you were made for. To me, you're not broken, you're just Lyra. She walked to him slowly, sat beside him. For the first time, she leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice soft like a child's. Then I'll stay. The morning air was dry, but something felt different. Jace was outside repairing the broken solar panel when a strange sound echoed through the desert, a soft buzz, almost like a far-off swarm of insects. He froze. It wasn't insects. It was a drone. Inside the hut, Lyra stirred. Her body had started to heal. Her cheeks had color now and her voice was stronger. But when she heard the sound, her face turned pale again. "No," she whispered. "They found me." She rushed outside barefoot, her silver hair flying in the wind. "Jace!" she shouted. He looked up, and his eyes caught the shimmer in the sky, a small silver disc floating high above, scanning. Jace grabbed her hand. "Inside. Now." They ducked back into the hut. The light in the room flickered as the drone passed overhead. "It scanned this area," Lyra said, trembling. "Not a random flyby. That's a retrieval scout. Will it come back?" She nodded. "Yes, it already marked me." "Marked?" She pulled back her collar, revealing a faint red symbol glowing under her skin near the shoulder. "Tracking seal. It activated when I woke up in the pod." Jace stared at it, jaw tight. "They were waiting," she continued. "If anyone touched me, if anyone cared, they'd know, and come for me." Jace stood and began packing supplies, water, food, old weapons. "We're not staying here, not anymore." Lyra looked up. "You'd run with me?" "I said I wouldn't give you back." "I meant it." She looked down. "You'll lose everything." He looked around his small metal hut, then back at her. "I don't have much to lose." By sunset, they were on the move. Jace led her across the jagged hills, taking old miner trails only locals knew. Lyra walked in silence beside him, her hands gripping the small pack he gave her. Her eyes stayed on the horizon, but her thoughts were far behind them. "Back at the facility," she finally said, "we were told stories." Jace glanced at her. "What kind of stories?" "That humans are dangerous. That they destroy anything weak. That they use you, then leave." Jace smirked. "That's what your people teach?" She nodded. "But you gave me food. A name. Warmth. You didn't touch me, not even when I offered." He didn't reply, just kept walking. After a few steps, she added softly, "They lied." As darkness fell, they stopped inside a cave hidden by thick rocks. Jace started a small fire. Lyra sat beside it, her eyes glowing faintly in the flame's light. He looked at her and asked, "Why were you really abandoned?" She hesitated, then said, "Because I cried." Jace frowned. "You cried?" "They told me to stay quiet, to obey. But when the testing began, I screamed. I cried. They said I was defective, too emotional." She looked into the fire. "They told me love was weakness, but I wanted it anyway, so they threw me away." Jace's voice was low. "They were wrong." Silence stretched between them. Lyra suddenly reached into her pack and pulled out a small crystal chip. "This holds all my genetic data, my design files, my records." She held it out to him. "Take it." Jace shook his head. "I don't need that." "But they do," she said. "They'll kill to get this back. If you keep it, they'll come for you." He gently pushed her hand away. "Let them come." That night, Jace couldn't sleep. He sat at the cave's edge, rifle in hand, eyes scanning the dark. Lyra sat behind him, watching his back. Suddenly, a faint red light blinked on the nearby cliff. She gasped. "They're here." Jace grabbed the rifle and pulled her behind a rock. Moments later, a sharp beam of blue light sliced the cave floor where they had just sat. A sleek shadow moved across the ridge, a hunter unit. Black armor. Red eyes, silent steps. Lyra trembled. "That's not a scout. That's a killer," Jace whispered. "Run." "No, they want me. If I go, they leave you." "I don't care." Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide. "But I do." She stood. Her hands lit up, glowing white. The hunter spotted her and fired, but she raised her arms, catching the beam with her bare hands. The cave shook with light. Then silence. Smoke rose. The hunter was gone, burned to ash. Lyra fell to her knees, weak but breathing. Jace rushed to her, pulling her close. "You idiot. You could have died." She smiled faintly. "You called me Lyra again." He held her tighter. "You're not disposable. Not to me." Outside, the stars shimmered, cold, distant, watching. But two small hearts, broken and brave, beat together in the dark. They didn't stop moving. For 2 nights and 2 days, Jace and Lyra walked through the broken valleys and ash-colored dunes far from the old city zones. The air grew colder. The ground was dry and cracked. Their legs ached, but neither one complained. Jace led the way with a small compass and hand scanner. Lyra followed silent, wrapped in a thick brown shawl. Her steps were light, almost too quiet. By the 3rd day, they reached the forgotten ruins of the Arkan Dome, a collapsed alien outpost long buried by time. No one came here anymore, not even scavengers. "This place is safe," Jace said. "No signals go in or out." Lyra stepped inside the broken dome. Glass panels hung from twisted metal like spider webs. She looked around, her glowing eyes soft, in the shadows. "This place smells like memories," she said softly. Jace chuckled. "I didn't know memories had a smell." "They do," she whispered. "To people like me." That night, Jace cooked simple stew from canned roots and dried fish. Lyra sat near the fire, her knees drawn close, watching him with a thoughtful gaze. "You never asked what I am," she said. Jace stirred the pot. "Didn't need to. You're Lyra." She tilted her head. "But I'm not like you. I was designed, made in a lab. My blood isn't pure. My powers weren't natural." He looked at her. "Powers?" She hesitated. Then slowly she lifted her hand toward the fire. The flames rose upward, twisting like a dancer. Blue sparks swirled in the air. She closed her hand and the fire became still again. Jace sat in silence. "Is that why they threw you away?" She nodded. "My power didn't match their plan. They called me unstable, dangerous." Jace's eyes didn't show fear, only something else, admiration. "Then they were fools." Lyra smiled, small and tired, but outside, something moved. A faint click echoed through the old dome. Jace stood, gun in hand. Lyra turned toward the door, and then it came. A shadow burst through the broken wall. Dark, fast, and armored. Another hunter unit. But this one had a voice. "Subject 73X, you are ordered to return." Jace stepped in front of her. "She's not going anywhere." The machine's eye blinked red. "Target identified, protector class. Neutralize." It raised its weapon, but Jace fired first. Sparks flew as his blast hit the chest plate, pushing the enemy back a few steps. But it didn't fall. "Run!" Jace yelled. Lyra didn't move. Instead, her body began to glow. Her skin shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes burned like suns. The air around her grew warm, humming with power. The hunter charged, but she raised both hands and the dome shook. Light exploded outward. Dust flew. Glass cracked. The hunter froze mid-step. Its armor began to melt. Jace shielded his eyes. When the light faded, the hunter was gone. Only a black shadow burned into the floor remained. Lyra dropped to her knees, gasping. Jace ran to her. "Lyra!" She looked up weakly. "It hurts. Every time I use it. That's why they feared me." He held her tight. "You didn't just protect yourself, you saved me." She leaned against him. "I never wanted to destroy, I just wanted to feel safe." They stayed in silence for a long while. Only the sound of wind moved outside the dome. Later, as Lyra rested, Jace sat nearby with the scanner. The enemy's signal had stopped, but he knew more would come. "She's not a weapon," he whispered to himself. "She's not property, she's someone." He looked at her peaceful face. Maybe even someone I was meant to find. In a dark council room far away, screens flickered. "Unit 73X survived another attack," a voice said. She is no longer defective. Then she's ready? Another voice asked. A third voice replied coldly. She is bonded to the human now. If we take her back, she might resist. Silence. Then the final order came. Bring them both. Back in the ruins, Lyra opened her eyes. She looked at Jace and whispered, They won't stop, will they? Jace shook his head. No, but neither will we. She smiled faintly. Then I won't hide anymore. If I burn, I burn for you. The wind howled across the broken dome as Jace stepped out to search for food. He didn't want to leave Lyra alone, but their supplies were nearly gone. She was still weak from using her powers, eyes tired, hands shaking even when she smiled. I'll be quick, he had said, touching her shoulder gently. I'll wait, she whispered, voice soft like morning mist. But as the sun dipped below the cliffs, something dark crossed the sky. A ship, silent and black, like a shadow falling across the world. Jace was too far to see it, but Lyra saw. The ship didn't land with noise. It slid down like a ghost, and from it came 5 figures in gray armor, cloaked in light-bending shields. Their movements were clean, perfect. Not machines, elite operatives, trained to deal with high-value targets. Lyra stood in the center of the ruined dome, eyes glowing, breath unsteady. You will not take me, she said firmly. The leader raised a small disc. A high-pitched pulse rang out, and her knees gave out. She fell, her powers instantly silenced. Unit 73X, the leader said coldly. You belong to the Crown again. No, she gasped, trying to stand, but her body wouldn't listen as they placed the cold cuffs on her arms. She whispered, Jace, I'm sorry. Far away, Jace felt a pulse in his chest. He dropped the metal pipe he was holding and looked toward the sky. The wind had stopped. And then, the firelight in the dome flickered out. He ran. When he returned, the dome was empty. Only ash remained where the fire had been. Her shawl, her necklace, her warmth. Jace stood frozen. The wind returned, colder than before. Then he saw something, burned into the dirt, a royal sigil, a snake eating its own tail, wrapped around a glowing star. Royal forces, Jace whispered. She wasn't just made. She was born to power. And now they had her again. The scene cut to black, but only for a moment. In the Royal Research Facility, deep underground, Lyra sat inside a crystal containment pod. Her wrists and ankles were locked in glowing restraints. Her eyes were dim. She stared at the wall, silent like she used to be. A tall woman in armor stood before her. Smooth skin, eyes like knives. You used your power again, the woman said. And the tracker worked, just like we planned. Lyra didn't speak. The woman smiled. You bonded to the human, how charming, but pointless. He's already forgotten you. Lyra finally looked up. He won't stop. Even if he comes, the woman replied. He won't leave alive. Jace stood outside a hidden bar in a city that didn't exist on maps. His old contact, a smuggler named Brant, sat across from him, eyes wide. You're telling me you bonded with a royal-blooded bioengineered weapon? She's not a weapon, Jace said coldly. She's Lyra. Brant leaned back. You know how many people have died trying to sneak into the Royal Genetic Labs? I'm not people. I'm going. Brant sighed. You'll need clearance, cloaking gear, anti-sensor tech. I'll get what I need. Just tell me where she is. Brant stared for a long moment, then finally said, Sector 9, deep beneath the capital. They don't bring people there, only secrets. Jace nodded. Then I'll break their secret wide open. Back in the pod, Lyra touched the glass. She closed her eyes and whispered, You gave me a name. You gave me warmth. Now I give you this, my strength. A soft light began to glow under her skin. The guards outside noticed the rising temperature. She's waking up, one said. Impossible, said the other. Said, the pod neutralizes all energy. But inside, her powers were no longer afraid because she was no longer alone. As Jace loaded his old blaster and checked the map, He saw a blinking light on the corner of his wrist device. A voice came through, faint. Broken but real. Jace, don't forget me. He stared at the device, heart pounding. He whispered back, I'm coming, Lyra, and this time I won't let go. The Royal Genetic Lab sat deep beneath the capital city, protected by 20 layers of security. The air was cold. The walls were silver. Everything smelled like metal and silence. In the deepest room, Lyra was no longer in a pod. She was chained to a throne of glass. The chains glowed with blue energy, keeping her powers frozen. Guards lined the walls, their weapons aimed, ready. But Lyra didn't scream. She didn't cry. She waited, because she knew Jace was coming. Outside, thunder cracked. It wasn't a storm, it was him. Jace blasted through the outer gates with a stolen security badge and a stolen ship. He moved fast, silent, and angry. Every camera that caught his face short-circuited. He wasn't just a scavenger anymore. He was a man with a mission, and the woman they called worthless was his whole world. Inside, alarms blared. Soldiers ran toward the lab's central tower. But Jace didn't stop. He reached the glass throne room in less than 5 minutes. The doors burst open with a loud crash. Gas hissed from the ceiling. Red lights blinked. Jace walked in, weapon raised. Let her go. The guards moved, but the high-genetic matron raised her hand. Wait, she said. Let him speak. She walked slowly toward him. Her face was smooth, eyes cold and sharp like broken glass. You crossed 3 royal zones, broke into a level 7 lab, and killed 4 hunters, she said calmly. All this for her? Jace didn't lower his weapon. You treat her like trash. She's not. She's better than all of you. She is unstable, the matron said. Unfit. Created for royal fusion and rejected at birth. She's not a thing, Jace said. She's Lyra. She has a name. She has a choice. The matron smiled. That's why we kept her alive. She still holds value. She is the last of her kind, one with hybrid code and emotional imprint. If we control her, we control the next generation. I'll destroy this place before I let you control her. Oh, but she's already made a choice. She turned to Lyra. Tell him. Lyra raised her head. Her voice was calm but soft. They said, if I agree to help them, if I become their fusion queen again, they'll let you live. Jace shook his head. No. Lyra. Don't. Her eyes met his. They want my blood. My body. If I give it freely. They said they'll spare you, let you go. Don't make this deal, Jace said, stepping forward. You don't owe them anything. I owe you everything, she said. Tears shimmered in her bright eyes. You gave me warmth. A name. You let me live like a person, not property. Jace dropped his gun. It hit the floor with a loud clang. Then don't go back to being a prisoner, he said. Run with me one more time. The matron laughed. Touch her again and the chains will melt you from the inside. Jace looked at the chains, then back at Lyra. You trust me? He asked. Lyra nodded. Always. Then close your eyes. Jace took one step forward, and something sparked. The chains glitched. The glow around her arms flickered. The matron's smile fell. What did you do? She snapped. Jace lifted his wrist. This, he said, is a pulse jammer. Took it from one of your hunter units. It blocks control frequencies. The room lit up with sparks. The chains broke apart. Lyra stood. Power surged around her like a storm. Her eyes turned pure white. The guards fired, but their shots melted in the air before reaching her. The matron tried to run, too late. Lyra raised her hand, and the throne of glass exploded. In the center of the destruction, Lyra walked to Jace, glowing like a star, and fell into his arms. I chose you, she whispered. I know, he whispered back. Sirens screamed through the facility. The building shook, but Jace and Lyra walked out hand in hand through fire and ash. They didn't look back. High above, the council watched from their satellite screen. She's out, one said. She is bonded, said another. We lost her. But the third voice, the coldest of all, said, no, we didn't lose her. We let her go. Why? Because now she will bring others like her, and she won't even know it. The stars above were calm again. No more sirens, no more guns, just the quiet hum of a stolen ship drifting far from the royal zones, gliding over empty planets and frozen moons. Inside the ship, Jace sat at the edge of the bunk holding a warm drink in his hands. He had burns on his arms, scratches on his face, and his heart was still racing from everything they had escaped. Lyra sat beside him, wrapped in a soft blanket. Her head rested on his shoulder. Her silver hair was messy, her breathing soft. You're really here, Jace said, more to himself than to her. She smiled gently. I told you I choose you. He looked down at her hands, still glowing faintly. They'll come again, maybe not now, but someday. She nodded. Let them come. I'm not afraid anymore. Jace turned toward her. Even after what they did to you? I was born in a lab, Jace. I was built to obey, to serve, to carry the bloodline of royals. Her voice was calm now, strong. But they forgot something. What? She took his hand and pressed it against her heart. They forgot I can feel, I can love, I can choose. He didn't speak. He just looked at her like she was the only star left in the sky. Later that night, while she slept beside him, Jace stared out the ship's window. Planets passed like ghosts. He thought about his old life, scavenging trash, hiding from storms, eating dry bread alone in the dark. And now? Now, he had fire, a living star curled up beside him, a girl who had been thrown away by the galaxy but still chose to burn for him, but far away the council still watched. She escaped with the human, one voice said. Another added, she activated the ancient fusion core during her escape. We detected a surge. She is evolving, said a third. And with a human heart beside her, she may become something we cannot control. What do we do? Someone asked. We wait. Wait for what? For her to light the fire that burns this system to ash. Back on the ship, Lyra woke up slowly. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. Her voice was still sleepy. Where are we going? Jace smiled. Someplace new. A farming moon near the edge of the system. Quiet, no towers, no cameras, just sunlight and soil. She blinked. You're serious? I thought we could build something, a home. She stared at him. A real home? He nodded. Tears formed in her eyes. I've never had one, she said. Not once. Not even a bed that was mine. Well, Jace said, walking over to her with a small wrapped package. This is a start. She opened it slowly. Inside was a simple necklace, a small piece of metal, cut from the old pod he had found her in, shaped into a heart. Polished smooth, she touched it carefully. You kept part of it? She asked. It was broken, he said. But not useless. Lyra smiled. Just like me. No, he said. Much more than that. Weeks later, the ship landed on the farming moon. There was green grass, real rain, and a warm sun that kissed the skin instead of burning it. Jace built a small house with solar panels and wooden walls. Lyra planted blue flowers near the front door, flowers that only grew when someone loved the ground they touched. And they grew, fasted every night they sat by the fire. Every morning she held his hand. But one night, as the wind blew gently across the hills, Lyra turned to Jace and said, If you ever want to leave, if you miss the city, the noise, the adventure, just say it. Jace shook his head. I found what I was looking for. She tilted her head. What's that? He pulled her close and whispered, You. She didn't say anything. She didn't have to. Her arms wrapped around him, and for the first time in her life, she believed she was truly home. They had no crown, No titles, just each other, and that was enough to silence the stars. Forever.